I never was interested in doing just one thing. If I got good at one thing, I tended to then get a little bored with it and I would try something different. And I always loved the idea of merging art with theater. So creating a nightclub, interestingly enough, it created the perfect context for doing that. I could bring people to one place and subject them to all kinds of torture and fantasy. And eventually Andy Warhol's TV interviewed me, and I remember him asking me, how much money are you making? Very Warholian. And I said, well, we're making some money. And he said, well, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to buy? And I told him, I'm going to buy tortoises. I was always fascinated with the natural world. It's not just turtles, snakes, lizards, crocodilians. From a very personal perspective, where I grew up in Northern California in Sonoma, I began to realize that the animals that I easily found as a child in the late 60s were no longer there. And I then realized that turtles and tortoises were actually the most threatened group of animals on Earth, with over half of the species threatened with extinction. I got a phone call from the Bronx Zoo about 15 years ago, asking me if I would take 250 very rare turtles and tortoises from the Bronx Zoo. I had a pretty dramatic shift in my life from running hotels and restaurants to the world of nonprofits and conservation. I've now traveled to many very unusual parts of the world in pursuit of saving turtles and habitat around the world. I mean, traveling opens your eyes to see the world and understand what's happening. I'm blessed and fortunate that I can travel, and I do travel, especially seeing things that the average traveler may not see. It's so much more interesting when you can go into places or get access to parts of the world that you would not normally be able to see. And I find myself in different places almost every other week. But having said that, I think it's equally important for everyone to work in their own backyard. Act locally, think globally. The proudest achievement for me today is that over the last 24 months, the Turtle Conservancy and our partners have protected 45,000 acres, both in South Africa and Mexico. So that's twice the size of the island of Manhattan. And we've protected that land for a whole range of species. My initiative and my goal is to try to protect half of the planet, half of the wild areas of the planet. As E.O. Wilson has said, we need to do that for fresh water, clean air, to sustain us. So if nothing else, we should do it for selfish reasons.